2,
Just know
1.
Just
The
noticed.
meeting will come to order. The first item is to review and approve the minutes from the meeting of March 19th.
Make a
Does
motion to
anybody have
approve
anything
them.
to say?
I make a motion to approve them.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting carried, the motion carried. Okay, so now we're opening this meeting, which is a public meeting, to take comments on the smoke-free policy, which will apply particularly to Moore Court, Hayes Court, Ledgewood Heights, Melrose Terrace, and the Samuel Elliott's apartments. But the last two really have been smoke-free for a year now, right?
Yes, Hayes Court and SEA have been, I think I sent you the.
Well, I have all of that, I just don't remember.
Yeah, they actually, it's been longer for them.
It's been longer.
Yeah.
And I live in Sam Elliott, and as far as I'm concerned, it's been
Yeah,
successful.
we did theirs. We did their, Hayes and the Elliott apartments, May 1, 2014.
Wow, I've been without a cigarette that long?
Yeah.
For that?
So,
No, I didn't smoke. Except when I was thinking a lot, then I used to curl at the top of my head.
okay.
So the public is here to give some testimony here.
I like the changes on what was made from last time, so that's cool.
So identify yourself and tell us what you want to tell us.
My name's Lynette Thomas, and I live here in Moore Court. And I had asked last meeting that we had if we could change the back of my building for non-smoke free.
I think I remember
And
that.
that's what you did, so.
Yes, so,
And it's been done
yes.
to your satisfaction,
This is the new
Yeah.
map that will be.
but it's snake-free.
I know. Smoke free in the back of that building.
Does that
I
include
did
the sidewalk
appreciate
too?
that.
Or does that include the sidewalk there too?
That's not a
That's not a
sidewalk,
sidewalk.
that's the
That's a
back of the
fence.
building, that's a
Yeah.
fence area.
That's back here.
And what we had done is, we had, because it's really
This is all
tight,
steep.
yeah, we had said, well, okay, we'll let people smoke in the back along the fence. And Lynette came, was I think the only resident who came and said, well, this is gonna mean smoke will be coming in the back of my
Right.
building, so we changed it.
Good enough.
It's only about a
Well,
5-foot
our
strip there, it's not
fence is
gonna
from
put
like-
anybody out.
This table to that wall, that's it, that's.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So I wanna, do you have anything to say about this?
I'm Ann Wyman, and I'm the crossing guard for Ledgewood Heights.
Oh, okay.
How are you gonna get rid of the cigarette butts going up the hill?
Interesting you should
Yeah.
mention that.
The cigarette butts are gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had I had a suggestion. When I started crossing guard, the children told me that the previous crossing guard had a bag that he would put up there so they could put their trash in.
Mm-hmm.
So I have done that, and they have been using it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's very unsightly.
What is?
But the kids, the bag.
The bag?
Yeah, it hangs there, it blows in the wood, wind, you can see the trash in it. The kids use it though. They come down sometimes with breakfast, and they'll eat half of it, put the other half in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
They'll bring down juice in a container, throw the container. They've been very good about using the bag. I pick up trash. Some of it's been thrown out by people passing by because it makes it very unsightly for Ledgewood. But the bag is very unsightly. And I called Courtney and I talked to another gentleman about putting up a box that was attached to the post where you have the sign for Ledgewood Heights. It would be similar to a mailbox. It would have a lid that would open. On the bottom, it would have a bottom that was removable so that you could clean it. One that would maybe be painted the background of the sign so it wouldn't be unsightly. It would be about this long, about this wide. about this, this thick. And the kids would use it, and the adults use it too that come down. Now, I've been told that they don't want to put permanent things down there. I can understand not having a rubbish barrel. One of the gentlemen that called me said, well, what prevents someone from getting out of their car and taking their trash and putting it in there? Well, in the first place, it's not going to be that big. Besides which, they're too lazy to get out of their car and put the trash in there. They roll down the window and throw it out the window. They throw it across from Ledgewood as you're coming down, and we have someone who lives at Ledgewood who's been very good about picking up trash and getting the kids to pick up trash all around Ledgewood and coming down. And he even walks, along the edge. But I think that the bag is very unsightly, but the kids need to have something to put the trash into, and we do use it. So I'm hoping that maybe you will consider putting a box in at the bottom of the hill.
And you talked with Courtney?
I talked to Courtney, and I had a gentleman that called me up. He said, he's the one that said, well, what prevents them from, taking their trash in? And that's what I told him. I said, they're too lazy to get out of the trash. He thought I was talking about maybe a rubbish barrel down there, which would be very unsightly. And people would probably take it. It doesn't need to be something that big. It needs to be something smaller. Something that's not very obtrusive. Most people wouldn't even know that it was for trash. It would look like a mailbox. So I'm hoping that you will take that into consideration.
For what it's worth, we have it at Elliott about 5 barrels for recyclables. And person or persons unknown come in when nobody's looking and throw their trash.
Oh yeah, I can understand that, but this would be so small, there's no way that they would,
I
and being at the
don't think
bottom of the hill, they aren't gonna do that.
I don't think it's gotten to be a problem yet,
No.
but it does happen.
Oh yeah, I can understand that, because those are barrels.
Yeah.
That's a different thing entirely. This is gonna be much smaller than barrel. They aren't putting their trash in it now. I'm the one that's, I will pick up, I picked up a lot of cigarette butts, oh my gosh, 15 in a day, just in one spot.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a good thing. You have something else
The
to
kids
say?
want to do that, yeah,
It's the same way here.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got people coming in and throwing their stuff away.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have spring cleaning every year. I've noticed a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just waiting for their stuff to crawl across the road when their spring cleaning comes in.
Oh, when we had this last wind, there was a lot of trash that I had to pick up, because it blew from everywhere, It wasn't something that, and I picked it all up and put it in the bag. And there's been a couple parents that said that their kids are into recycling and they would like to take the bag and throw it in their trash thing. Some of the adults have said they would. Maintenance man said he would too. So they would take it, and I've taken it home with me at different times when I didn't see someone that I could ask.
As far as the butts are concerned, that's a problem where I live too.
Yeah.
And what seems to be happening is people probably who don't live there
No,
are smoking in their car and they come out, they got a
No.
cigarette and they want that
these are the
last
people that
drag.
live at Ledgewood that know that they aren't supposed to be smoking up at the top of the hill. So they get rid of their cigarette at the bottom of the hill as they're making the turn.
No, they can smoke up at the top of the
Well,
hill.
they're anticipating. They're anticipating
They're gonna throw it out
no
the window and
smoking.
it's
No,
collecting
the no
dust.
smoking,
Yeah.
everybody can smoke in their car all the way up, they
Yeah.
can park their car and smoke
Well,
in
there's
it.
walkers.
Not gonna-
There's a lot of walkers at Ledgewood, people that don't have vehicles, so I think those are the ones that are probably.
I think people just throw their cigarette butts down on the
But
ground. I think everybody
because
does.
it's like
So.
here and then leading up, I would say that they're people from Ledgewood, so.
With some of those
And there are some
cigarette-
people that throw it out, you can tell the weir that they're throwing out the window.
Would something like a receptacle for butts help? You know, one of those tall skinny things?
Yeah, probably right at the bottom of the hill if that's something you wanted to
They'll walk
do,
away.
but,
They're not gonna use it from their car.
It's gonna
No,
walk
they
away.
wouldn't. From the car,
We've
yeah.
gone through this.
yeah.
Who would steal something like that?
Oh, they would, yes, they
It will
would.
walk away.
I think they would,
It will
yeah.
walk.
That's why it
It will
needs
walk.
to be, what I'm suggesting is to be attached right to the post underneath the sign, right behind.
I will certainly talk to Courtney and check about it
Yeah.
tomorrow.
But the gentleman I talked to after we discussed it, he called me up after I talked to Courtney, and she had come back and said, no, the rules are against it. When I talked to him, he misunderstood what I was getting at, and he thought that I meant a rubbish barrel or something like that. And when I explained it to him, I wish I had written down his name.
Jack?
He sounded like a young man and very
Probably Jack.
And he was, he said that he did say that that sounded like a good idea, but nothing has I wanna kind of like keep talking about it until hopefully it will happen.
Well, we've had a lot of things that maintenance has had to do.
Well,
Like
even
unexpected
one of the
snowstorms.
maintenance men, I talked to him too, and he immediately said, oh, I could make something like that up easily.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you, I will talk to Courtney and Jack about it tomorrow.
Yeah. And the other thing I had discussed was there are some rocks that fell down the ledge.
Yes.
There are some small ones that are up higher that if they fall, it could hurt someone. But there's one in particular
Mm-hmm.
that is about this big, this flat, like this. It's got cracks on all sides of it, and it's aiming down. If that goes, that one particular one I'm really concerned
Okay,
about.
I can tell you that I talked to Jack about that rock because he was very concerned. He didn't sleep all night, he was so concerned. And he went and walked all over the place and didn't see any
He couldn't
rock.
find it?
Could not find a rock that he felt was loose enough that would come down.
Since it has cracks on all sides, you don't know whether this way or not, that's why. I took a picture of it. And let's see if I'm not very good at phones.
I'll tell you what, why don't you, can you send me your photo?
I don't know if I can because I don't know. Camera.
Well, that would be the best thing to do.
Yeah, I know, but I can show it to you and then I can figure out some way of, let's see. I'm trying to figure out how I could, I think these are pictures already maybe?
Well, I can tell you that
Yeah.
Jack
This is
went
the one right
all
here,
over
this
it.
is the one right here. It's not a very good picture, but you see how it's going, it's leaning down, but there's cracks there, there's cracks behind it, there's cracks on the other side, and there's cracks underneath it.
Okay, send that to me, but I can,
Yeah,
I'm just telling
okay.
you that in
Yeah.
response to
But
your
that's-
calling Jack, he did
Yeah.
walk all
That was-
over there.
That was
and
the one I was concerned about.
Did not
because-
find, he
Yeah.
didn't feel
And
there
the
were
little
any
ones.
rocks. He did not feel there were any big rocks there that were gonna come
Yeah.
down. So,
Yeah, I'd like to have someone, an expert, a real expert, take a look at that particular.
I think he's a real expert. He's done buildings of over 300,000 square feet his whole life, so I think he's pretty good at knowing this stuff. So,
So that was, but the small, there are quite a few small ones that if they're up high and they're loose, and if they came down, they'd hit someone in the head. It could be, I mean, it would be, it's not a, I'm not talking about a lot of huge ones, there are a lot of small ones that, and we've had some that fell down. Luckily, it was on the level, so it didn't.
Okay.
fall on it.
okay, no,
The chair
I'll tell
recommends-
Jack to go look at his rocks again.
Yeah, yeah.
This is not about the smoking, but I wanna get it off my chest.
Sure.
Can I do that?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, wait, I just wanna make sure that you're finished.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, that's all, I just,
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that,
Just
that
They're gonna be picking me out here soon.
if there was anything else.
Well said.
Okay.
About property managers. She's doing a great job, and I'm gonna stick up for Courtney. I still say each property needs their own person, not to be having 7 people, 7 developments on one person. Is there any possible way that you could get a person in each development for a property manager?
No, we absolutely cannot afford it.
Okay.
No, we cannot, we absolutely cannot afford it. We think that we have organized property management to be the most effective it possibly can. And helping Courtney is Jen, who is doing a lot of the research and is the assistant property manager, so there's another property manager. And we have another person in the back office now that's helping them with some of the back office stuff that takes their time. And we have the support staff that actually is working very, very closely with the property managers to give them more support. So here, that would be
Well, I
lower
mean,
line.
the reason
So-
is that sometimes things happen when Courtney's at another development or up at the main office, or she should be here seeing what's going on and not having to go through somebody else, you know? I'm just kinda,
There's absolutely no way.
okay.
The housing authority has never operated with a property manager on every property. It's never been cost effective and it's never been needed.
Okay,
And we absolutely do not have the money to do it.
okay.
So there's a lot more to that job than it appears, isn't there?
It is.
It's a big
I
job
watch
and-
Courtney struggle some days, and there's a lot of crap that goes on in Moorcourt, coming from downtown, whatever. And it's just, she's way overwhelmed when she gets there, or she don't have time. So, you know what I mean? She has meetings to go to or whatever, and she's never here, so. I just would like to see a little bit taken off her shoulders, you know what I mean? But
Well,
you can't avoid it, you can't.
the way that the property management is organized is the way that Courtney wanted it organized.
Okay,
So we have done it the way she wanted us to do it
she's crazy, but whatever.
to maximize her abilities to be the property manager.
Can she delegate a little bit?
She delegates all that she can. Courtney is a really, really excellent
She
property
is
manager.
a good person.
She's
Yeah.
really
I'm not saying
excellent.
anything bad against
She's,
her.
no, I don't think you are.
I think she's just some days overwhelmed when she gets here. And some days she just don't wanna listen, but there's things going on that should be seen by a property manager that's here, just looking out the window or standing outside the door and these, well, drug dealing or whatever else.
Well,
what I
but
mean?
you know, Lynette, we've got
I know, that's it.
We've got 4 properties,
Yeah.
and it's not like there's something every minute of the day that's going on, and you just can't have a property manager that's just looking out the window all day.
Okay,
When you've got all of the HUD regulations, remember, we have to check 43 things on every single person that we try to get in here. So they've got, you know, it is a big job. I think Courtney is exceptional at it, and we have organized it the way she wants it organized.
all right, that's all I need to know. Thank you for answering.
And it's, you know, one day something could happen, but it's not like every day, everything's happening every minute. And that's why you can't have a party manager just sits there.
That's true.
And,
Well, I'm sure you could find her something to do on some of it.
well, she's plenty busy, but I think that she's, again, all I can say is she's a very skilled, very, you know, has been doing this a long time. And when the other property manager left, we asked her, how did she want property management organized? And this is
Okay,
the way she wants it. And she has, you know, she's got more backup staff than she did before.
that's good.
So,
Okay.
a lot more actually.
All right.
So,
If there's drug dealing, do the police get involved?
yes, they do.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yep. No, the police are very involved, and we have, Courtney actually has an excellent relationship with the police department.
She's got front line here. What do you call it? Hotline?
Yeah,
Hotline.
she's on their speed dial.
Speed dial, that's what it was.
Well,
called.
she, you know, everybody has that problem and
Yeah.
all over this.
Especially in this area.
Well, it's not just more court. I mean, everybody
yeah,
has it
I-
everywhere,
yeah.
and I have to say, in you know, in
Thank you
somewhat
very much.
defense of the police department, because I know they get a lot of negative comments, they have really worked hard with us and with Courtney to deal with some of the issues that we've had on our properties, and she has a good relationship with them, and
I just figured that she needed somebody else to.
I will tell her that you
Okay.
wanted her
Thank you.
here only,
There
and
we
that
go, there
you
we
felt
go, that's
that
what I'm hearing.
we weren't giving her enough support. We
She's
are.
doing a good job.
Thank you. We think she's doing a good job, and you know,
Everything
as I
is
said,
active
we
smoke-free, that's all I want.
we've got it organized the best that we can, given the finances that we have, which are not
Okay,
a lot.
thank you for answering.
You are welcome, thank you.
Well, since we're still in the public hearing part of it, do we have any comments on the BHP 2018 annual plan? Which
Oh,
is-
you know what? We did that.
We did that already.
We did it.
Duh.
I know, I couldn't believe it. It was in the wrong file. It was in a file that was marked 2017, and I opened it up and I said,
That's good.
wow, we did this in December, so you don't even have to worry
So
about it.
we don't have to worry about that.
But Lynette, while you're here, you had mentioned 3 things, capital items, that you wanted us to take note of. And one was the roofs,
Oh.
and one was the siding, was the painting.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there one other?
The windows need to be replaced. They do, mine is starting to separate on the bottom.
Okay,
On the ledges, the whole thing needs to be replaced, and on my ledges, they're really.
okay. So it was roofs, painting, and windows.
And if we could get the mold off I have allergies, mold off the power spray or something,
Off of where?
off the bricks,
Oh, okay.
because it's really, asthmatic and allergies can really kick in.
Okay.
And then there was something else too, I forgot what it was.
No, you added one. You
Added one,
three
added
before. Yeah, no.
The doors, that's the other thing.
Oh, it was the doors.
Yeah,
Yep,
the
the
doors,
doors.
mine has big rust marks all around the
Yep.
bottom of it.
Yep,
And
Okay.
the water comes through, it's fun.
You had a little footnote on a memo that you sent to us about smoking that had to do with the Development Review Board.
yes,
You
that
want
was
to comment on that?
well, we were supposed to go to the Development Review Board tonight for the second, our proposed second phase of Melrose put on
Okay,
as
yeah,
an
yeah.
addition to Red Clover.
Right.
But the town had to postpone the meeting until May. So we're not
So
going
there's
to,
nothing happening there.
we're not
Okay.
going to see them tonight. We'll see them May 7th.
Well, I guess that means the public hearing part of the meeting is closed, so why don't we vote upon adopting the smoke-free policy?
Yes, and that will be just to Moore, Ledgewood, and Melrose. It does say all of them, but it's just those three in particular.
Well, if we vote to approve it again,
It just,
it doesn't make
just-
it any more approved, does
Yeah,
it?
no. No, it
So,
doesn't.
I guess I'm looking for a motion. Or some discussion. I guess discussion would come before the motion.
Well, either way, I did want to just remind everybody that what we're doing with these three properties is it's sort of like a soft start to the policy. And I think Lynette's a really good example, so I'll pick on her. She looked at the maps and said, that smoke's gonna come into my window. I'm not gonna like that. So what we're doing is we're adopting it now. The HUD mandate is that it be in place, I believe it's June 28th, July. But the idea, June, is for us to start implementing it with the thought that we may need to change it before the HUD effective date. So we may come back depending on what changes need to be made, or we may just say, okay, that's, relatively small change that we made for your building, but really a good one for you. So what we want to get people out of their apartments. We want them to know they can't smoke in their apartments anymore. Here are the limits, and then we can start seeing what is working and what isn't working. And do we need to change this before we convert these maps into really final maps that would then go into the lease, would go into the lease packet, and would be posted at the properties.
So we're having a sort of a soft start to it.
You got it.
So
And
the,
if-
Intentionally.
so this adoption would be like, sort of like a temporary until we, or it
No,
would be.
it's going in. This
Okay.
is it. This is the policy. It's in place. This is what you've got to do. And now, our suspicion is that people won't really start to react and have comments until they really have to do it.
Yeah.
So, Lynette was gracious enough to say, I know this isn't gonna work for me, but I think that, there will be smokers and non-smokers that probably find places on these maps that just don't work.
Mhm.
And we wanted to be able to sort of have some time to work with residents around them before we actually made them physically the final maps. So this is an opportunity for us to work with the residents in terms of what is working, what isn't. But as of May 1, no smoking in your apartment, you have to get out, here are the areas where you can smoke, here's where you can't. But tell us where you think it's a problem, and let's see if we can make changes that'll work. I know one area that people have talked about are the play yards. They are in both Ledgewood and Moore, they're smoking areas. And our thinking is that that people will sort of gravitate to one set of picnic tables or the other. Hopefully, the smokers will be downwind from non-smokers. But that's an area where we may actually have to draw a hard line and say, okay, didn't work. People couldn't, it just wasn't working out naturally, so we're gonna say this half of the playground has to be non-smoking, this part can be smoking. And by the way, Jack has ordered tons of picnic tables and lots of icicle racks, so once we have spring,
Yeah.
we may actually be able to get the things like the box you'd like us to put up and picnic tables and other things. So that's how we're planning on doing this. It is going into effect, it is the policy, it will start going into the leases, but we are giving ourselves, and we're giving you some time to work with the residents to see.
Can you let Jack know something for me though?
Sure.
The little area in front of the house, in that little green area,
Which house?
my house.
Oh.
In front of building 36.
Yeah?
The kids play Red Rover and they play, so don't put a picnic table there, you could?
Oh,
That's all I'm saying.
before, so the plan on the picnic tables is that Jack and Courtney will be over to talk with folks.
Okay.
You'll see them arrive,
We have lots of room in the field, but they still play in front of the building, and
Yeah,
Red
and,
Rover is a big thing for the kids around here, so.
well, that's great. So
Yeah.
they'll be coming around before they put them out. They'll
Okay. that's
be
all I'm
coming
asking.
around to see where people want them, and certainly
All right.
there's something that we can move if it
So
needs
I'll
to be
somebody
moved.
try to do
So-
the Red Rover thing with a picnic table.
Yeah,
I'll get
yeah. No, thank you,
it
but
next.
they'll be going around and talking to people about the picnic tables and the bicycle racks.
Thank you.
So we want to try to get, especially the picnic tables, in places where people are sort of naturally gathering, so that they're, that would make sense. And if areas are being used by kids for play, then that's what we need to know, so we don't put a
I mean,
picnic table there.
it's encouraged to go in the field quite long enough, but they still play in front of it. Now, almost done it, so we never stop.
Now, do any of these smoking areas have any kind of weather protection?
We are not putting gazebos up anywhere.
Nothing?
Nope.
Nothing.
No. What we've done is we've made a sufficient amount, we think, a sufficient amount of the property smoking, so that people can go out close to their apartments, which is important in family housing,
Mhm.
that they can be close to their apartments and close to playgrounds, and smoke. So that's what we were trying to do by having smoking in the front and a little bit in the back, knowing those were areas where people could then be close to their kids or be supervising and having a cigarette. But we have to get it out of the apartments.
Mhm.
So
Any other comments from anybody?
that's what we'll be trying to do.
Well, I guess the public hearing then will be closed, and we will, I'll be looking for a motion.
Meeting, and when is it, so if I have people that's mentioned, I can
Adopt this
encourage them to come to the meeting. Actually, there were some that were supposed to come today, but probably whether they didn't.
Okay, our next meeting will be, May,
I don't
just
know.
look. Excuse me, let me get my.
And do you know where it's going to be
Yeah.
next time?
Well, let's say it is known. And it's even on my calendar, but it's not in my head.
Okay. It'll, I saw they had it on the notice for the office at Ledgewood, that's how I found out about this morning.
Yep, it'll
That's
be,
why I decided to go.
it'll be May
We rotate
14th, it'll be May 14th at Ledgewood.
It's going to be at Ledgewood, good.
May 14th at Ledgewood.
I've heard a few comments from non-smokers there, and I think that they should come to me if they have comments, you know?
We have,
Well, write them and send them in.
yes, they can do that as well. They can call us, they can leave us notes, they can
Yep.
talk to Courtney, they can talk to anybody on staff. They can leave it just with Jeannie at the front desk, just to let us know. But we've had, that's why we've had a lot of, we had 1 or 2 meetings with the board and meetings in both developments to encourage residents to come and talk to us. That's another reason we're doing this sort of soft start in May, because I think once people really do have to leave their apartments and smoke outside, both smokers and non-smokers will say, whoa, wait a minute, this is the reality here.
Yeah, I got, I've
This
heard
works, this
even
doesn't
though
work.
I'm not up there that much, I've gone up a few times, and I've heard a lot of comments, so. From both non-smokers and smokers.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
got really strong opinions.
Oh, yes, oh, yes,
Yeah.
just remember,
Yeah.
this is the HUD rule, not
Yeah.
ours.
Yeah.
This is-
Doing that.
Thanks a lot, Lynette.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, nice to meet
Letting
you.
me speak.
Sure, sure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming.
Yeah.
In this-
So do
Oh, I
have
know,
a
this
motion
weather is awful.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll make a motion.
to adopt the plan as presented.
Yes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried.
Thank you, and you do not need to adopt the annual plan because you already did.
Yeah,
I did the whole thing, I was like, wow. Warn the hearing, I don't know, so.
so the next item is the business of resident interest, and these are mostly the reports from the
Yes.
staff.
Mhm.
So we got a report from the property portfolio manager and the property managers. And what color are these? These are the white ones, aren't they? Well, the white, this one. No, here it is, this one's yellow.
Okay. So, Courtney's is the yellow one. And, you can see the vacancy and transfers. So, oh, I'm sorry, Lynette left. I would draw your attention to the rent collection at Moore Court, 93.61%.
Wow, this is a new record.
Actually, they're all really good
Do I hear
except,
any
I
comments?
know, it's too bad she left, it's great.
except Ledgewood. I mean, that's still a little down. but-
Well, Ledgewood has a few families that are in the eviction process for non-payment, and we have a lot of the non-payment and the fees and costs sitting in their account, which we can't close out until something has happened.
Everybody else looks pretty good.
And some of this is sort of the annual flow of things, but the other is that the support staff, that I was mentioning to Lynette, as really, they really are a help to the property management people. They, with property management, have really taken on a campaign to increase rent collections. And there's a whole lot of pieces to it.
Well, I was gonna ask about that program that you told us about where they were gonna be proactive and go talk to the people
Mhm.
before they got, you know?
Yep.
And I was just wondering if that had a lot to do with these
It
higher
did,
numbers.
yes. Yes, and one of the people that we hired to help in the property management is an accounting kind of person, you two will like that a lot. And one of her primary duties is to post rents every single day, which we were not able to do before. So it comes in, it gets posted, and we're using the prepaid envelopes, as you know.
How's that working?
Good. It's working very well. We get about a 2-day turnaround from the post office.
That
So
is good.
that's really great, and then as soon as they get into our office, because we have somebody just dedicated to posting them, they get posted right away. So it's really,
Looks good for our numbers.
well, yeah, it's really, really been helpful, and they're now, looking at sort of doing a deeper dive into sort of what causes some families to get behind and why, so but it's really working. I think they're doing
shows.
great, yeah. So,
Chris, the A.W. Richards, is that the one that's on the corner of Hayes Court?
mhm.
And I noticed that it says 66%.
They've always been on too.
We have some vacancies there, and we had an eviction
Oh,
with, I think it was a write-off that you actually did last week,
okay.
or last month in the vicinity of about $4,000,
Mm-hmm.
so.
So in the portfolio management report, Jack has mentioned that the sprinklers are going in at Sam Elliott.
Yes, how's that going?
It seems to be going quite well, right on schedule. Personally, I think they're ugly,
Yeah, well, yeah.
but I'd rather have to look at an ugly pipe than a burn in a fire sometimes, so I think that they are essentially a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, resident wellness and services reports. We got the resident service coordinator and the SES coordinators. And they're in pink. Do we have anything specific to talk about on these guys?
No, but this is the team that really is giving a lot of support to Courtney and Jen in their work. Some of the things that Lynette was mentioning, yeah, it sort of falls to the property manager, but if you have a really good coordinated supportive services department, as we do now, they can take it off Courtney's desk right away.
Well, these are services that a landlord doesn't normally supply.
No,
These
they're
are
not.
good services to our people.
Yeah, they are. And this really does help the property manager a lot. So if you sort of think of the supportive services, 1, 2, 3, so we've got 4 people there who are working for the residents in all of the properties.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Courtney and her staff. So that makes 7 people plus Jack and then all of the maintenance people. More than half of, I mean, that's almost the entire staff is dedicated towards property management and resident support.
I noticed in the SASH report here, it talks about the Butterfly Museum. I actually checked all of that out on Facebook, the pictures.
Isn't that
It was
neat?
very nice, yeah.
So it's Shauna, the SASH coordinator, and Lorelei, who does SASH and resident services, that are, I don't know if you're on Facebook, but they've been posting a lot for the housing partnerships, and it's really great. They post photos
I've
and
been,
just
yeah.
reminders and,
I've been watching them.
yeah, and that's that. That's what these two are doing. It's great. It's really great, yeah. So lots of good work.
I like the newsletter.
Well, it's good things happening
Yeah.
with the wellness and services people.
Yeah, and Lorelei and Shauna spent quite a bit of time over the last 4 to 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, getting trained. So they can now put on programs for Tai Chi, the chronic wellness, some of these programs that we've found to be really, really great and very helpful for the residents. So they're now fully trained, and they will be doing them at Hayes, at the High Rise, their centers. And we always invite the community to participate, so.
Well, the next item is the Housing Choice Voucher Program. I guess that's the bluish one here?
Well, it's the orangey one.
Orangey one.
Yeah.
That's fine. Is there anything we should discuss on this, or is just a report that we should read?
Well, it's a good report. We have committed to putting 6 project-based vouchers in the Wyndham Windsor new building that'll be on Flat Street. So that is really great. We're very happy to be partnering with them in that way. I think the really big note is on the Shelter Plus Care program. They have 30 people in there, and that grant has always been really funded and intended to have a maximum of 23. So that's really great, because Shelter Plus Care is a program that is about Section 8, it's the old Section 8 certificate program, but it is for people that have homelessness and chronic mental illness, and it gives them an apartment indefinitely.
And
So it's a
it
really
gives them
great-
the ability to maintain that apartment.
Yeah, and they get supportive services. So it's really a great program, really good.
It speaks to my newness, so I'm sorry. Most of you all know this. Can you explain really what a voucher is?
Sure.
Does it mean like it's basically funding for a person?
Mhm.
And it's not generally like the full amount, it would be a partial,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it's based on somebody's adjusted income, so like public housing, and it's usually 30%, though in the voucher program, because it's different, it can go up to 40% the first year. Public housing is 30%. And what a voucher holder gets is a piece of paper that says, here, you have a voucher. We will subsidize your rent to this amount, if the rent is no greater than this amount, and there's a lot of calculations that go on. And it lets the voucher holder take that and find an apartment on the market. Usually we have a lot of voucher holders in the land trust properties where they have market rated units, so we'll have vouchers in those. We have voucher holders at the Ann Waldo Richards building, because we have some that are not project-based, they're just open. So you can, but you can take it and rent from any dart ever, like the voucher program. And what we do is we send directly to the landlord every month what we pay them for the voucher. And that's the nice part for the landlord. They know they've got that guaranteed income coming from us right to them.
You're reading my mind.
Oh,
I
was
was
it?
gonna say exactly that.
It's scary, Tom.
Well, it is true. Landlords really support this program.
Does the Red Clover have a voucher system there?
It does.
So each one of the properties have a certain number of vouchers, how does that get determined?
Okay, so there are really, for us, there are 3 forms of subsidies. There's the public housing subsidy. There's the tenant-based voucher. That's, I give it to Donna, and Donna goes and finds an apartment. Or there's the project-based voucher, which means the voucher is in the building. So at Red Clover, all of those units are subsidized by a project-based voucher, which is actually held by the Vermont State Housing Authority, not us. So that's what subsidizes everybody's rent at Red Clover. So you can have tenant-based, project-based, and then the public housing program, which is really separate. But in Section 8, those are the 2. And then these programs that David is talking about are special sort of carve-out programs. The transition is one that we developed with the area service agencies that's funded by the state of Vermont for transitional housing for, now it's mostly for homeless families. Shelter Plus Care comes from a different section of HUD than the one we're used to dealing with, but it's just for that particular group. And then where he has here the PBVs are the project-based vouchers. It's always been called Section 8, and many years ago they changed it to the Housing Choice Voucher Program, and everybody still calls it Section 8. So we don't want any people too confused. And then TPV is the tenant-based. One nice thing is, if you're in a project-based property, after a year, if the housing authority that has the project-based vouchers has open tenant-based vouchers, you can get one of those and go off and live somewhere else. That's nice.
Am I correct in thinking this transitions to housing program has resulted in some people buying houses?
That's really family self-sufficiency.
Family,
That was,
okay.
yeah.
That sounds like a great program.
That's the one where people, when their rent goes up because they now are earning income, in public housing, this defies logic, but in public housing, when you start to finally make income, we have to charge you
Your
more
rent goes
rent.
up. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So in the family self-sufficiency program, if you're in that, when you start to earn income and your rent is supposed to go up, instead of that rent coming to us, we put it in a savings account for you. And that's
The
the program.
ability, equity,
Yeah,
you have enough to put a down payment.
yes. And that's the program where we've now had 4 people leave with enough money to buy a house,
That's wonderful.
which is pretty good. Yeah,
It really is.
10 to 12,000. I have to look, Lucy often tells us what she's running, but we have people with quite a lot of money in their savings account. That program, the Family Self-Sufficiency, is a 5-year program, and you set goals for where you want to be. So we've had people that have come in and, I don't know, wanted to be a nurse or whatever, and Lucy helps them get hooked up to whatever they need, education, work improvement, whatever it is, to get them onto their work path that they like to be.
Great.
Yeah, it's a terrific program.
Moving along. Old, new, and other business.
So Lucy has in here, so we have escrows, that's their savings accounts, and there's some with about $10,000 in them, which is really great.
The escrow is what they're building up so that you can put it toward buying a house.
Yes. Yeah, very nice. Very good program. Yes, so that was, now you're on to your financial review. Tom, you probably know this, that our electric rates are going up.
I didn't know that,
Yes,
so I'm not
I
surprised.
got a call while I was away, and they'd like to come and talk to me. I'm like, yeah, can we do that in the ER? So, I can.
Is there room to negotiate, or are they just saying this is going to be your new rate?
Yeah, I think they're just telling us
Yeah.
the new rates. So,
Well, I'm sure you're not selectively applying this rent increase to yourself.
no, but we are a big
It's
user.
gonna hurt you. As far as check signing
Oh,
is
yes.
concerned, I have noticed that GMP generally gets a rather large check from us.
Yes, we do.
Speaking about check signing, I am signing this month, so I will stop signing at the end of the month. In May, it's supposed to be Chris Connolly, but she may not be able to do it.
Yeah, so Lori, would it be possible for you to do it in May or not?
Yes.
It would? That would be lovely.
Will I get confirmation whether or not Chris will be or not be, or,
I'll make a note.
okay. I mean, 'cause either way it doesn't matter, but I don't wanna show up and have Chris show up too.
Yeah.
Didn't she just have some kind of an accident and she's had a disability of some sort, but
Yeah, she had a little setback, so,
a setback on it, so.
yeah. So, but we can contact her and see if if she thinks she'll be able to do it, and let you know.
Okay,
Definitely.
thank you.
So that seems to be all the business I have here. Is there anything I forgot? If not,
No.
I'm looking for a motion.
Good.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
To adjourn. Bingo.
Excellent.
All in
Reading
favor?
your mind. It's a reading your mind, Tom.
Terrific. Thank you
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?